What happens when two beloved stars collide in the most unexpected way on daytime television? It only took 22 seconds for everything to spiral completely out of control. Before we get into this absolute madness, hit that subscribe button right now. We bring you daily videos exposing Hollywood's darkest scandals and the most explosive confrontations that everyone's talking about. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Last night on the Jennifer Hudson show, what was supposed to be a light conversation about cooking and wellness turned into a full-blown disaster that left everyone in shock. Valerie Bertinelli, the actress and Food Network star known for her warmth and authenticity, walked onto the set looking relaxed and happy. Jennifer greeted her with that signature smile and energy she's known for, and the audience was excited to see these two powerhouses together. The conversation started off perfectly fine. They talked about Valerie's new cookbook, her journey with healthy eating, and her passion for helping people feel good about themselves. Jennifer was being her usual charming self, laughing at Valerie's stories, asking thoughtful questions about recipes and family traditions. The audience was loving it, clapping and cheering whenever Valerie shared personal anecdotes about her Italian heritage and her love for bringing people together through food. She talked about her grandmother's recipes, the way food connected her to her roots and her family. Valerie talked about her divorce, her weight loss journey, and how she'd learned to love herself again after some really difficult years. She got emotional, talking about the pain of her marriage ending, the struggle of starting over in her 50s, the challenge of finding herself again. She was vulnerable, honest, open about her struggles with body image and the pressure she felt in Hollywood. People in the audience were nodding along, some wiping away tears because her story was so relatable and real. You could hear sniffles throughout the studio. Jennifer seemed genuinely moved, praising Valerie for her courage and authenticity, calling her an inspiration to women everywhere. But then, Jennifer decided to pivot the conversation to something more current, something that had been making headlines in the wellness community. She brought up Valerie's recent social media posts about body positivity and her criticism of diet culture. Her voice changed slightly when she brought it up, became more pointed, more journalistic. The energy in the room shifted slightly, but nothing seemed wrong yet. Jennifer's tone was still friendly on the surface, still conversational, but there was something underneath it now. "So, Valerie," Jennifer said, leaning forward with interest, "you've been really vocal lately about rejecting diet culture and embracing body positivity. But I have to ask, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, there's been some conversation online about whether your message is consistent with some of the endorsements you've done in the past." Valerie's smile tightened just a little bit. You could see it if you were watching closely. Her shoulders tensed up slightly, and she took a small breath before responding. "Well, Jennifer, I think we all evolve and grow. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, and I'm proud of that growth. I've learned a lot about myself and about what really matters." It was a diplomatic answer, the kind celebrities give when they're trying to navigate tricky questions. But Jennifer didn't let it go. She pressed forward, bringing up specific diet programs and weight loss companies that Valerie had worked with over the years. She mentioned commercials, endorsements, partnerships that Valerie had promoted to millions of people. She named specific brands, specific campaigns, one after another. The list seemed to go on forever, and with each one, you could see Valerie's discomfort growing. "I guess what I'm trying to understand," Jennifer continued, and you could hear a slight edge creeping into her voice now, becoming sharper with each word, "is how you reconcile promoting these diet programs that made you millions of dollars with your current message about loving your body as it is. Some people might say that's a bit hypocritical, that you're changing your message now because that's what's popular, not because you actually believe it." The word hypocritical hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. The audience got very quiet. You could hear people shifting in their seats, the rustle of clothes, uncomfortable coughs. You could feel the tension spreading through the studio like wildfire, person by person, row by row. Valerie's face changed completely. The warm, open expression was gone, replaced by something much harder and more defensive. Her eyes went cold, her jaw set. "Hypocritical?" Valerie repeated, her voice sharp now. "That's a pretty strong word, Jennifer. I was open about my struggles with weight. I tried different programs. I shared my journey honestly with people. I never lied to anyone. And yes, I got paid for some of those endorsements, just like everyone else in this industry gets paid for the work they do." Jennifer sat back in her chair, and there was something in her expression that looked almost smug. Like she'd been waiting for this reaction, planning for it. Like this was exactly what she wanted to happen. "I'm not saying you lied, Valerie. I'm saying that maybe you profited off other people's insecurities while pretending to help them. You made money off women feeling bad about themselves. And now that the culture has changed, now that body positivity is trendy and profitable in a different way, you've switched your message to whatever sells best. That's not growth. That's just good marketing." The audience gasped. Several people said, "Oh my God," out loud. Someone in the back row shouted, "That's not fair!" This was way beyond normal talk show conversation. This was a direct attack, personal and brutal, and everyone could feel it. The air in the studio felt thick, suffocating. Valerie's hands gripped the armrests of her chair so tight her knuckles turned white. You could see her fighting to keep her composure, to not completely lose it on live television. "Excuse me?" Valerie said, her voice rising, getting louder and higher with each word. "You think I'm being fake? You think I'm just following trends? I spent years hating myself, Jennifer. Years and years looking in the mirror and feeling worthless because I didn't fit some impossible standard that this industry created. Those endorsements, those partnerships, I did them because I genuinely believed they could help people at the time. I was desperate. I was struggling. I was trying to help myself too, but I learned better. I grew. I changed my mind when I realized I was wrong. That's called being human. That's called evolving. That's called having the courage to admit you made mistakes." Jennifer wasn't backing down, though. If anything, she seemed energized by the confrontation, like she was feeding off it. Her voice got louder, more aggressive, more pointed. "But you made millions of dollars telling women they needed to lose weight to be happy, to be worthy, to be loved. You stood in front of cameras and sold them products and programs that statistically don't work long term. You know that, right? The research shows that 95% of diets fail, but you still took their money. And now you want to act like you're some champion of self-love? That's not growth, Valerie. That's rebranding. That's trying to stay relevant." The other people on Jennifer's team looked uncomfortable. Her bandleader looked down at his shoes. Her announcer was staring at the ceiling. Her producers in the back were probably freaking out, screaming into their headsets. But the cameras kept rolling because this was explosive television, and everyone knew it. This was the kind of moment that would be replayed and analyzed for years. Valerie stood up from her chair, her whole body shaking with anger now, trembling with rage and hurt. "You have no right to judge me," Valerie said, her voice trembling but strong, powered by years of hurt and frustration. "You have no idea what I've been through, what I've struggled with, what it's like to live in this body, in this industry. I've been honest about my journey every step of the way. I've never claimed to be perfect. I've never said I had all the answers. But you, sitting here, acting all righteous, questioning my integrity on your show in front of all these people. That's bullshit, Jennifer. That's complete and total bullshit. The audience was in shock. Some people were covering their mouths with their hands. Others were looking at each other with wide eyes, mouths hanging open. A few people in the back were cheering because they loved the drama. Nobody expected sweet Valerie Bertinelli, America's sweetheart from One Day at a Time, to come out swinging like this. But she was just getting started, and decades of pent-up frustration were pouring out. "You want to talk about profiting off people's pain?" Valerie continued, her voice getting stronger and angrier with each sentence. "You want to talk about authenticity and integrity? Let's talk about how talk shows like this one make money. Let's have that conversation. You bring people on, you get them to bare their souls, share their deepest trauma, cry on camera, reveal their most painful secrets. And then what? You get ratings. You get advertising money. You get sponsors lining up. You get renewed for another season. So don't you dare stand there and judge me for trying to make a living while being honest about my struggles. Don't you dare act like you're better than me." Jennifer shot to her feet now too, moving so fast her chair almost fell over. Her face was flushed with anger, red creeping up her neck. "I give people a platform to share their stories. I create a space where people can be heard and feel seen and feel valued. That is not the same thing as selling diet pills and weight loss programs that mess people up, that give them eating disorders, that make them hate themselves." "Really?" Valerie shot back, taking a step toward Jennifer. "Because from where I'm standing, you're exploiting people's stories just as much as anyone else in this business. You just do it with a smile and a song. At least I'm trying to do better now. At least I'm admitting I was wrong and trying to make amends. What are you doing, besides sitting in judgment of everyone else?" The energy in the room was explosive now. You could see Jennifer's producers moving toward the stage, not sure if they should intervene or let this play out. The audience didn't know whether to clap or sit quietly. Some people were filming on their phones, knowing they were witnessing something historic. Jennifer's eyes were blazing now. She pointed her finger at Valerie, her voice shaking with emotion. "I help people, Valerie. Every single day I use my platform to lift people up, to give them hope, to make them feel like they matter. What you did was sell them false hope wrapped in a diet plan. You made them feel like they were broken and needed to be fixed. That's not help. That's harm." "And you're perfect, right?" Valerie fired back, her voice dripping with sarcasm now. "You've never made a mistake. You've never done something you regret. You've never taken a job or made a decision based on money or pressure or just trying to survive in this industry? Get off your high horse, Jennifer. You're not better than me. You're just better at hiding your flaws." Jennifer's jaw dropped. For a moment, she seemed speechless, which never happens. But then the anger came flooding back, stronger than before. "I'm not hiding anything. I'm real with my audience. I share my struggles, my journey, everything. I don't pretend to be something I'm not." "Neither do I," Valerie shouted, and now she was crying, tears of anger and frustration streaming down her face. "I've been nothing but honest about who I am and what I've been through. But apparently that's not good enough for you. Apparently, I need to apologize for my entire existence just to meet your standards." The audience was completely silent now, holding their breath. This had gone so far beyond a normal disagreement. This was personal, raw, real, in a way that television rarely captures. Jennifer's voice got quieter, but somehow more cutting, more vicious. Each word was like a knife. "You don't need to apologize for your existence, Valerie. But you do need to take responsibility for the harm you caused. All those women who bought into your weight loss promotions, who believed you when you said this program would change their lives, who felt like failures when the weight came back like it always does, who developed eating disorders trying to look like you did in those commercials, who spent money they didn't have on programs that didn't work. Where's your accountability for that? Where's your apology to them?" That was the breaking point, the final straw. Valerie's face went pale, then red, then pale again, the color draining and flooding back in waves. Her whole body was shaking like a leaf in the wind, and you could see her fighting to keep control, fighting not to completely break down. When she spoke, her voice was ice cold, colder than anyone had ever heard her. "You know what, Jennifer? I came on this show as a guest. I came here to talk about my cookbook, to share some recipes, to have a nice conversation. I did not come here to be ambushed and attacked and have my character destroyed on live television. What you're doing right now is cruel, it's mean, and it says a lot more about you than it does about me." Jennifer crossed her arms, her face hard. "I'm asking legitimate questions that needed to be asked. If you can't handle that, if you can't be accountable for your past actions, then maybe you shouldn't be out here promoting a new message." "Accountable?" Valerie's voice rose again. "I've been nothing but accountable. I've talked openly about my mistakes, about what I've learned, about how I'm trying to do better. But you don't want accountability, Jennifer. You want blood. You want me to grovel and beg for forgiveness so you can feel superior." The two women were standing just feet apart now, both breathing heavily, both clearly at their breaking points. The rest of the studio seemed to fade away. It was just the two of them, locked in this battle. "That's not true," Jennifer said, but her voice wavered slightly. "I just think people deserve honesty. Real honesty. Not this polished, curated version of the truth that you're selling now." Valerie laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Honesty? You want honesty? Here's some honesty for you, Jennifer. You brought me on this show with an agenda. You wanted to take me down, to expose me, to make yourself look good by making me look bad. This was never about having a real conversation. This was about you getting a viral moment, getting clicks and views and people talking about your show." "That is not what this is about," Jennifer protested, but Valerie cut her off. "Yes, it is. And you know what the saddest part is? I actually respected you. I thought you were different from other talk show hosts. I thought you genuinely cared about people, but you're just like all the rest. You'll throw anyone under the bus if it means better ratings." Jennifer's face was red now, tears forming in her own eyes. "How dare you? I have never thrown anyone under the bus. I treat my guests with respect and dignity." "Respect?" Valerie's voice was shaking with rage now. "You call this respect? You ambushing me with accusations, questioning my integrity, basically calling me a fraud in front of your entire audience? That's your idea of respect?" The tension was unbearable. Security guards had moved closer to the stage, ready to step in if needed. The producers were frantically talking into their headsets. This was spiraling out of control in real time. Jennifer's voice got very quiet, very controlled. "I think maybe you should leave, Valerie." "Oh, I'm leaving," Valerie said, grabbing her purse from beside the chair. "Don't you worry about that. I wouldn't stay on this stage another second if you paid me, which I'm sure you won't, since I'm walking out on your precious show. That's fine with me, Jennifer said coldly. I don't need guests who can't handle tough questions. Valerie turned to face Jennifer one last time, and when she spoke, her voice was quiet but crystal clear. These weren't tough questions, Jennifer. This was a character assassination. There's a difference. And I hope you can live with yourself, knowing that you hurt someone who came here in good faith, who trusted you, who thought you were a friend. I hope those ratings are worth it. With that, Valerie Bertinelli walked off the Jennifer Hudson show, her heels clicking loudly in the silent studio. The audience sat frozen, not knowing how to react. Some people started to clap, others booed. Most just sat in stunned silence. Jennifer stood there on her stage, looking shaken and angry, and maybe just a little bit regretful, as the cameras captured every emotion crossing her face. The producers finally called for a commercial break, but the damage was done. The most explosive confrontation in daytime television history had just played out live, and nobody who watched it would ever forget the moment these two stars turned on each other and everything fell apart.